Ever think about like how a catchy pop song could be like messing with how you think? Like, I mean, we all have those songs that you can't get out of your head, but
Yeah.
what if they're doing more than that?
Well, that's what this speculative design project, Echoes of Tay, wants us to like think about. It uses that super catchy Dragostea Din Tei song.
Oh,
A lot of people know it as like the Numa Numa song
right.
to explore how like even stuff in our culture that seems totally innocent could be like secretly impacting how we think.
So we're talking about like the power of a catchy song to like influence our thoughts and actions. That's a pretty wild idea.
It is, yeah. And so tell me a bit more about this project and like who's behind it.
Yeah.
So the creator is Cbon12527,
Okay.
a fictional AI designer.
Gotcha.
And the project sort of imagines this world where like AI is used to optimize how everyone thinks. And being an individual is kind of like discouraged, to promote unity and productivity.
It sounds a little bit like one of those sci-fi dystopias where everyone is being pushed to think the same way.
Yeah, kind of. That's sort of the point. Salmon 2527 is using this like exaggerated scenario to get us to think critically about how powerful AI is and how it could be used to shape how we see things.
So how does Dragostea Din Tei fit into all of this? Is Salmon 2527 saying that the song is like some kind of mind control thing?
Not really. It's more like the project uses the song as a way to show how cultural things can like work on us on a deeper level.
Interesting.
So Salmon 2527 actually uses linguistic and musical analysis to break down the song, revealing how its structure could be subtly reinforcing certain ways of thinking. Like, for instance, that Numa Numa hook, it's undeniably catchy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But you could see it as like a way of promoting the idea of just like going along with things and repetition.
Wow, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But how does that tie back to AI and like how it influences us?
Well, think about it like this. AI systems are designed to find patterns and try to predict how we'll behave.
Yeah.
And Echoes of Tay is suggesting that stuff in our culture, like pop songs with their structure and repetition, they can create patterns in our minds too, kind of secretly influencing what we like and how we act.
That's a pretty bold claim.
It is.
Are there any examples of that happening in the real world that support this?
Oh, absolutely. In the project, Cbon 2527 describes this like made-up scenario of a school system using an AI system called the cognitive alignment system. And this system, it like subtly guides how students think by changing the lessons based on how engaged they are, potentially like making them less likely to think critically and disagree.
That's a little creepy.
It is.
Are they saying that individuality is being like shut down to create this more controlled, harmonized society?
Yeah, exactly. The project even imagines public spaces that are designed to like minimize conflict and get everyone to just go along with things. Creating what Cbon 12527 calls harmonized environments. It's like a statement about how technology could be used to subtly engineer how we behave in society.
I can see the connection between how catchy the Numa Numa song is.
Yeah.
And the potential for AI to like secretly shape our thoughts and actions.
Right.
It's pretty thought-provoking.
Yeah, it is. And that's just the start. Echoes of Tay goes even deeper into how the designer came up with this idea and what inspired this whole thought-provoking project.
Awesome.
Yeah. What's really interesting is like how Cbon 12527's own background like shaped the project.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, Cbon 12527, being from Moldova, grew up around like Soviet-era design principles and a more recent history of like shared cultural things.
I don't know much about Soviet-era design. What was that like?
Well, think of it this way. Back then, design was often used as like a tool to get very specific messages across about ideology. Everything from like posters to public spaces had this clear purpose to reinforce the like main narrative.
So you're saying Cbon 2527 is drawing a parallel between that kind of blatant messaging and like the more subtle influence of technology now?
Right. While we might not have propaganda posters everywhere anymore, Cbon 2527 is arguing that like our tech landscape today with its algorithms and personalized feeds might be shaping our thinking in ways we don't even realize.
That's kind of freaky. Makes you wonder what other stuff in our lives that seems harmless could be like secretly influencing us.
That's where the idea of counter-narratives comes in.
Okay.
It's a big part of Cbon 2527's design process.
Counter-narratives, what are those?
Basically, they're like alternative interpretations that challenge the main narrative.
Gotcha.
In this case, Cbon 2527 made counter-narratives for Dragostea Din Tei to show how it could be manipulative,
Okay.
and encourage critical thinking.
So instead of just like taking the song at face value,
Right.
Sebin 2527 is pushing us to look deeper and like question the messages it could be sending.
Exactly. It's about becoming more aware of the things that shape how we see the world.
This all sounds very like conceptual. Can you give me like a real world example of what a counter narrative for the Numa Numa song would be?
Sure, imagine like a version of the music video that instead of showing people happily dancing and having fun,
Yeah.
it shows them like struggling to break free from that hypnotic repetition of the Numa Numa part.
Interesting.
It would highlight how even like a catchy, positive sounding cultural thing could be used for control and conformity.
That's a powerful image. It really gets the point across about subtle manipulation. But is this all just like theoretical? Or is Sebin 12527 suggesting any solutions
Right.
or ways to fight back against these influences?
That's what's so cool about Echoes of Tai. It's not about giving concrete solutions. It's more about like getting us to ask the right questions.
So what are the key questions that Sebin 12527 wants us to think about?
Seaman 12527 is basically asking what seemingly innocent stuff in our own lives, from like pop songs to algorithms, might be shaping our thoughts and expectations, and how can we become more aware of these influences so we can make better choices about the world we want to live in?
This is a lot to process. I feel like I'm seeing the world differently now, like questioning the messages behind things I used to just accept.
That's exactly the kind of critical thinking Sebin 2527 wants to inspire. It's not about rejecting technology or culture,
Right.
but being more mindful and discerning about them.
It's amazing how Sebin 2527 takes like a catchy pop song that everyone knows and uses it to ask these deep questions about how technology and culture like affect how we think.
Yeah, it really is the power of speculative design. It lets us like explore what the future could be and face these complex issues in ways that normal research just can't.
It's like holding up a mirror to society and asking, do we really want this?
Exactly. And by doing that, it gives us the power to make better choices about how much we want tech to be a part of our lives.
I think this whole deep dive has been really eye-opening for me, and I hope it has been for our listeners too.
Me too. Echoes of Tai is a powerful reminder that we shouldn't just like passively consume culture or accept new tech without thinking.
Right.
We need to be critical and consider the consequences, both the intended and unintended ones.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What can they do to be more aware of these subtle influences and make better choices?
It starts with simple stuff like paying attention to the media you take in,
Okay.
the algorithms that shape what you see online,
Mm-hmm.
and even the design of the spaces you're in. Like ask yourself, what messages are they sending?
Right.
Whose interests are they serving?
It's about being a little skeptical and not just accepting things at face value.
Exactly. And remember, questioning things doesn't mean rejecting them. It's about engaging with them in a more thoughtful way.
This has been a really stimulating conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights on Echoes of Tai and all of this stuff about speculative design.
It's been my pleasure. Talking about this project with you has been great.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on Exploring Futures. We hope this deep dive has given you some new ideas and inspired you to see the world in a new way. If you found this episode interesting, please share it with others. The more people we can get talking about this stuff, the better we'll be able to deal with all the complicated parts of our tech future.